They spite me for spite, despite of their spite. But let's start light, cause you know, darkness is might, and in these streets you just might find yourself taking a left instead of a right, and find yourself not having such a good night. Sleep is for the slippers, as fish are for the flippers, and faith for the fishers. The rest, pictures. But tena si pictures kwa field, cause kwa baseball uchezwa kufichwa. Za giza ndo wanikwa, but za kichwa ndo mambichwa. Utaandikwa kwa kitabu cha maisha, ama watakuzika na spite, wakikunywa Sprite na chapo, wakisema huyo tulimwonya, muone sasa ako hapo, nishushe hapo, cause life is a journey in case uja notice. Na dreams are to make it ni kama bedtime stories. So how can we scale mountains if our minds are out of scale? How? Instead, we're the loudest, banging our chests, proudest. But in reality, we're just shrouded. Mind, chill, omit and commit. Don't just vomit your energy, cause when you do, you only feed your enemies and me. Kwa hai, niki left, I hope mni write kwa your books. But in case ujani like your thumb for the looks. Thanks. So guys, I hope you loved that, man. My first performance on the show as your host also. As you may notice, the theme here this month ni poetry. And I hope you loved the piece I just had. Before niendelee manze, kuna mtu nimemiss. Where's Carol? Wow. Dashing as always. Damn. You look amazing.
That piece was lovely.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah. So guys, thank you so much for staying tuned for E Squared. All the E Squared lovers, karibuni sana to the show. Happy New Month. By the way, Benjamin, today is World Autism Awareness Day.
Oh.
Yeah. So theme here guys ni inclusive quality education for each and every one of us. So to all the survivors, to all the people who are in that space, to all the parents, to all the neighbors, man, we celebrate you. You guys are not alone. E Squared is here to tell you how much great you are, and of course opportunities are going to be equal for each and every one of us if we create a sustainable society, of course. So of course this month conversation is poetry. Guys, this is a whole month we're dedicating to celebrating the joy that comes with poetry. Of course, one thing that I say I love more about poetry is the fact that it creates room for one to express themselves, you know.
It's a free space.
Yeah. So tell us about that. What makes a good poem?
What
Benjamin?
makes a good poem? I think it's just an honest expression. I can't explain it any further than that. As long as it's an honest expression, it's a good poem.
Okay. As long as it's an honest expression, it is a good poem. So, karibu sana to the show. Of course, you get to interact with us on our social media handles. Tuko kila mahali at E_squared TV and on Twitter at E_squared KE.
And
na
on
hapa
YouTube.
YouTube at
E_squared TV.
Yeah, so welcome to the show, guys. So Benjamin, once upon a time, Mama told me I was a great poet. You see?
You are.
You
are a great poet.
Yeah, but I think there's something that I'd love to also get to understand from you. There is the modern poetry, like what you're doing. And of course, kuna ile poetry, ile ya kitambo, ile, you understand where I'm coming with this.
Yeah.
So what would you say, how different are they?
I think just like all the forms of art, poetry imeenda kind of rogue. We are more free in the modern generation. Kitambo walikuwa na limits to what can you say, how can you say it, how many lines and what. But say it's basically what I've just presented. It's spoken word, it's something in my heart, it's something in my mind. Mm-hmm. And when I say it, it's poetry.
Okay.
So yeah.
So hakuna difference ya spoken word na poetry?
Well, it's one form of another thing. It's like spoken word comes from poetry. Spoken word is performed poetry. Poetry performed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So listen to this. It's something that I think I wrote some time back. Utaniambia where it falls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it goes like this. In my faint, feeble voice, hungry, emaciated, and one, gazing into each new dawn, the mirage of a scorching long day,
Wow.
the silhouette of a setting sun,
Wow.
a last burst of energy explodes.
Wow.
I am compelled to say, poverty chokes me.
But will you say that poverty chokes you, Karen?
That was back then, Benjamin.
And how wealthy that poem just was?
Yeah.
With
So
all those
where
words?
does that fall?
Well, that falls as spoken word. Maybe, yeah, just as spoken word. Because once you get it from writing into performance, it just becomes spoken word,
Okay.
whatever it is.
Okay, we will learn together. Utanifunza, si ndio? Yeah.
How has been your week, though?
My week has been fantastic. Yeah, I was so excited when I saw the post and I was like, man, finally,
Poetry.
we're doing something different.
It was fun. It was
Yeah.
fun. It's a fun topic.
Yeah.
I've had some good moments, pia mimi wiki. Some bad moments. For once, I'll start with the bad one.
No, let's start with the good ones, Benja.
Just because of you, I will start with the good ones.
Thank you.
My good thing of the week is a game was played, a football match was played in Spain, and it was between Barcelona and Real Madrid women teams.
Wow.
And guess how many people attended the show to the football live?
How many?
96,000 people. Highest record
Women empowerment.
for women. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was a good thing. I
Yeah.
loved it because the match was good. Everything was amazing. Yeah, but of course, in ile wiki ya coffee, everyone has been on the internet. You know what happened. For me, that's a down part of the week, but I won't speak on it much.
We will get to that. But before we get to that, hatuwezi kosa acknowledge the fact that KCP results were out.
Watu wamepita.
Yeah. To all the candidates, Manze, you guys did so much. You did so amazing. Congratulations to everyone. I think one thing that I would say was quite encouraging for KCP this year is the fact that the special needs category, they upped their game this year, man. Ulikuwa unaona like I think the first number 6 in Kenya alikuwa a kid with special needs.
Wow.
Yeah.
In the top 10.
In the top 10.
Wow.
Yeah, and then that was also encouraging. And then there was this lady alipewa a life sentence. She also sat for the KCP akapata 400 marks
With a life sentence.
with a life sentence.
Wow.
There's also this guy from Mombasa pia alikuwa amepatiwa life sentence. He was trying to find, when you are given a life sentence, there is so much that happens on your mind.
True.
That is a space definitely you're never going to get out of that space.
Life.
Tuseme tu by miracle.
Yeah.
By miracle. So imagine there is that negativity that comes with that, but this guy decided to do something for himself. Anasema kuenda shule.
He just did the exam for
He just
himself.
did. So when he was given that opportunity, of course, there was that guidance from the institution. So he scored also 400 marks. So it was
Wow.
very encouraging.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's been a good week then.
It's been a good
Above
week.
above everything. It's been a
Above
good
everything.
week. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Sasa Jilu mentioned story in a slap. Okay, let me give it to you, Benjamin. Tell me about the slap.
The slap, okay. Well, I can't say that I can take a side or who did this or who did what, but once you're given such a big platform and so many kids are looking up to you, there's some things you don't do. You have to set an example, you see. Because as a man, that's not how we solve our problems. So that's the only down part, that a role model for so many people decided to become physical when he felt he had been offended. I just didn't like that part.
You did like that
I
part.
didn't like that part.
But did you like the part that someone actually chose to make a joke about someone else's health situation?
Well, I can't speak on that because a comedian is given free reign of scrutiny. Like a comedian tunawapeanga ile free pass, like unaweza enjoy president, mama yangu, shosho yangu, anyone that you want, as long as uniambie the truth is you don't mean it. Like it's not a personal issue. You have nothing against me. You just want to make people laugh.
Okay. Just make people laugh, man. But me, Benjamin, maybe I wouldn't. But yeah, let us know what you think on the comment section. And of course, there's also something that has been trending on Twitter for the past 2 days. The Ministry of Health has offered a restriction on, let's say, baby feeding bottles, pacifiers, etc.
Munyonyi.
Munyonyi. So there are a couple of reasons, but I think I'll just mention 2. So one of the reasons wanasema the bottles are made of silicone. You know what silicone can do
Yeah, I know.
to the human body? And the second reason was when the kid sucks on that continuously, itafika point the child atakuwa na recurrent ear inflammation issues. So it's not encouraged, but again, come to think of it, because there's this guy who opened up on Twitter. Alikuwa anasema the wife died immediately after she gave birth to their son. So the child survived on the feeding bottles. Yeah, so he was like, what happens to the next father or the next mother who finds themselves in that situation?
That's a tough one, Carol.
Yeah.
But I guess, in the world, we look at the greater goods maybe.
Yeah.
Because something like that, many countries had banned the pacifiers for a very long time. They haven't been legal. And also in the countries where they're legal, you replace the mnyonyi after every use.
Okay.
You see, here in Kenya, we used to wash them. So that's where the problem comes up. The bacteria builds up and everything builds up, and that's plastic, basically. So if you're replacing it, maybe you're being a bit safe, because a person like that man has no option.
Yeah. But hata niki-replace, I'm using a new one every single time I feed my kid. Won't the ear inflammation issue still be recurrent? Because at the end of the day, they're still sucking on that.
I think hapo sasa ni mahali unasema.
Tutajua May 28th, sindo? Yeah, tutajua. Yeah, so guys, this month is a beautiful month. We're going to be celebrating poets and appreciating poetry. My co-host, Hamko mnajua, he's into poetry, and I loved your piece.
Thank you so much.
I'm hoping we will talk more about that later on the show.
We'll have.
But before we get that there, we would love to introduce someone on today's show. So this guy is an amazing poet. Just listen to his words. Listen to the way he's so articulative when putting his words together, the way he expresses himself, the way he sends the message home is just something so different, something so beautiful to look at, and something to want to be part of. So guys, take a look at Jicho Pevo. He is an amazing poet. So take a look at what he shared with us, and then when we come back, we'll be letting you know what you don't know for these weeks. Did you know? Yeah.
Umrembo ako capable kuwa watu polepole ni kama jiko mfungiwa kwa nyumba. Nilimpenda juu ya tabia, sura ikafuata na sieti ikianza kuchizisha watu mtaanza kusema ni dumba. The right time ikifika, najua vile nitamkumba, na si mnajua vile hizi vitu fanywa after day mashavishwa pete. Kwanza ni kumsimamia kidete kama huyo gavo uko nyuma ya Kikwete, na kumake sure kwamba kila kitu ni nyororo na laini kuliko nywele imetoka kufanywa straightening. Ni possible awache mademu mwingine wakaeni kama umepigwa na radi, juu urembo wake si wa kubahatisha wala si wa kutisha, ni kama zebra imetoka kufanywa skin lightening. Ako rich in beauty na ni mfertile kuliko banks za River Nile. Smile yake imetosha kukeres macho zangu, mate yake ni magical design, akichoose kuma kabla ifike kwa tumbo itakuwa imegeuka managu. Mrembo unanikalia kama Marie Cruz kwa Telemundo, juu sauti yako ni tamu kuliko ngoma zote zimedownloadiwa kwa mdundo. Unanipatia mchanganyiko maalum mpaka kwa hoteli miuku mistake na DJ jua ni serve na mix ya chapati ndondo. Nikikuona miugeuka sururu juu na acharo yangu ikigonga ndo. Sijui ni kwa nini ukuitwa kinoti na vile na sura ya pesa. Unaimesha wengi juu kama hao ndio paka, then tumekubali na tupeleka rat race. Unatetemesha wengi juu inaonekana ni kama wewe ndio utulisha earthquake. Mrembo kaukijua wewe ndio my current girlfriend, na wewe ndio the reason why mwa skuli chapati imepikwa na unga ya X. Msupa, beauty yako ni classic design. Ungekuwa radio station ningekupenda milele. Sina budi kwamba umestand out, ni kama beauty spot kwa face ya Msudi. Una mwili fitting kuliko Lilian Muli. Sauti yako ni ya kuvutia kuliko perfume ya Catherine Kasavuli. Wewe na class yako yote unifanya miss skuli. Mazgombe zako zupe mpaka advert ya Safcom misuli. Kama ni kushema this time round nitaboga mpaka kinduli, alafu after hapa wao mtu yutazata kwa named baada Urierogo Manduli. Thank you.
We, mimi ndio reason
Hakulangi
chapati imepikwa na unga ya X. I told you his wordplay is something to talk about.
That was amazing.
What do you think about that now as a poet?
Well, I love his wordplay. It's amazing the way he bends words. Words are really malleable, but once unaanza kuziandika ndio una realize how much unaweza play around with them. I love the way I deliver also. It was amazing, and the thing I loved most, of course, you know me, attire.
Okay.
I loved the Maasai fit. He looked amazing in that.
Yeah. Let me ask you something, Benjamin. In most cases, I think I've interacted with a couple of poets, and there's one thing they always say: rhyming. Rhyming. Ni rhyming scheme, ni rhyming of words. It's
Both
alteration or something.
Yeah.
Alteration. So what happens to this poet who is good? They are good at expressing themselves, because poetry is about expressing yourself. And if it's honest, it's a good poem. So I'm this poet who's able to express myself through my writing. But I'm not that kind of a poet mwenye and I'm going to, let's say if it's deep, beep, keep, something like that.
So there are many ways to flow without actually rhyming words. For example, with the piece that I started with, you realize that there's a part where the last word I use it to build the next line. So for example, if you take a left instead of a right, you might not end up having a very good night's sleep. Is for the sleepers.
Yeah.
You see, so I didn't rhyme anything, but I used the words to bend them kiasi. So it's not a matter of rhyme, really. If you can't rhyme the words, it's okay, because we're listening to what you're saying, not really how you're saying it, because how you're saying it is only Carol can say it that way.
Okay.
So that's a quite unique thing in poets. Like you immediately identify a poet by the way they deliver. So
Yeah.
you don't have to rhyme.
Okay. And I also noticed as a poet, not even the first stanza, the first line is what you get to capture, let's say, your readers or your listeners' attention. So now you as a poet, how do you make sure that your first line is that strong enough for someone else to just sit back and be like, I want to listen to it until the end?
To be honest, it just pops in my mind. Like the first line I started with that. They spite me for spite, despite of their spite. It has deep meaning if you think about it, but it just came to my mind, you know. So it's, of course, it's to capture the attention of your audience, but it's more of an identity thing, because there are some spoken word artists who always use the same line first to introduce themselves, like a calling card. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, you will keep learning as you go. So we'll keep talking the more the show inaendelea. So now, guys, on today's Did You Know, Benjamin, I know you know this. You're a poet.
Tell me.
Guys, did you know poetry, the word poetry, is derived from a Greek word poiesis, which means making or an act of expressing.
An act of expressing.
Or making.
So it's Greek. It's a Greek word.
Poetry is a Greek word.
Wow. That's amazing. They're quite good Greek poets.
Yeah. Now you know.
Now I know.
Now you know.
Now I know.
Yeah, so let's welcome our guest artist of today. This lady is an amazing poet, and I think you guys have interacted with her work before. She was in the Voice of Eastlands 2018.
She won.
And she was the winner. Yeah. So unaimagine kwenda kwa space yenye artists wale wa artists wamejaminia, they're good at what they're doing. Wamekam compete for that title of the Voice of Eastlands. Alafu wewe poet mwenye, let's say hata you weren't sure that is something people listen to, and then you get that title. You know how that feels. I don't know how that feels, but she will be telling us how that felt for her. Sit up.
Yeah.
So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, being a Poetry Month, allow me to introduce the one and only Nancy Bansi. Makofi, Benjamin.
Makofi.
Hey, Cookie Lion. Unakaa poa.
Nakaa poa sana.
So utachukua mic. So welcome back to We Squared again.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here again.
So introduce yourself to our audience.
Okay, so I'm Nancy Bansi. I'm a spoken word artist. I also do other things on the side: actress, producer, editor, photographer. Ni mingi. Yeah, tuwezi ongelelea leo zote. But hapo kitu nimekuwa nayo hapo ni poetry.
Okay.
Ni poetry, yeah.
One thing I also know about you, madam, you are a mind blower. So I'm ready to be blown away.
Let's hope so.
I know you will, so take it away.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one is about it's the one I won with. So it's called God's Love. Days come and go. And as they do so, we see God's grace for the new day that He makes us face. He gives us the strength to see the beauty of His creation. Even through that premonition of the coming temptations, He gives us the satisfaction so that we can get to a destination with no frustrations, and He tells us that He loves us all, with no exception. He is the father to the fatherless, and yes, that's why I call Him my Father. For He went further and inspired the others of the Holy Book, in which we just have to look and obey what He wants us to do. I may pledge allegiance to be of obedience to His holy word. But what if I mess? I won't have to guess what will happen next, but His anger will remain less, and He won't press charges, but will forgive if we repent. Walisema nothing comes from a silver platter. And that's why unafaa uombe Mungu chenye unataka, na si atitakataa kukupea, so wache kukata tamaa, for He is the living water to the thirst. And if you want your wish to be fulfilled faster, just wait, just relax. Jukasi sasa ni later. Finally, if you want to live happily, just believe in His word, and you'll never, ever grow weary. Just believe. Thank you.
Nancy,
Yeah.
that was an amazing piece.
Thank you so much.
So I'm going to start from there. That is what you presented for the Voice of Eastlands 2018.
Yes.
What prompted that?
Mostly we can't. Sometimes you feel like God is not there. Like there's so many things that you do, and you feel like nyewe kwani God ako wapi. But I wrote that piece at that space. I wanted to give myself some strength so that I can be able to overcome whatever was happening to me at that time. Yes.
And the first time you were on stage in Okaona Judge Ian, there was also Jibena, and there was also another lady.
Yeah.
And then the place was so full, artists wamekuja waka present. And then you came after Mose Mjukuu. What did that do to you?
So mimi niko hapo, wacha hata nikupe story. Niko hapo backstage. And then naona Mose Mjukuu amekuja hapo hivyo, and then alikuwa na companion like wake mwenye alikuwa na act ka prop. So like I'm face away from the judges, and then akona stuff zimeandikwa hapo nyuma, and then I was like, wow, that's so artistic. And then akaanza kuongea. I was like, we akona lines zinasonga, and then niko we na mimi nakuja hapa na God's love. Hey, and then sasa mimi najua hapa hapa kuna vile. And then unasikia ma artists wenye wanaimba uko, mimi hapa tu acha basi tu ni perform niende, like hakuna haja. Then I go to the stage, and then niko na Jajia Njibena, and then the other lady anaitwa Maureen. Yes, so niko hapo hivyo naenda, nilikuwa naniwekea microphone, alikuwa nakaa natetemeka kidogo, so I was also tensed. So I thought, by the way, this is it, I just have to speak from my heart. So nikaanza kuongea, and then I was looking at Jajia, and there was a point nilikuwa nimempea eye contact, nikasikia miguu ikiisha nguvu, nikasema I'm not this confident, wacha tu niendelee na zingine. But anyway, at the end of the day, I was able to do it, and I was tensing, but then data nilishtuka kusikia niliwin. I was like, how exactly how? But you know, at the end of the day kulan kujiaminia. Yeah.
And then when you were called, now sasa in our VOE, and what did that mean for you as a poet? What impact did that have on you as a poet?
You know, before I used, still now, like there's this problem ya kujiaminia you get. So I just used to write poetry like as a getaway thing. Like most of the times people wataniambia kitu iniumize, and I won't be able like to respond then. So sometimes I would just go and write it down, and then mwisho naona by then ikishikanisha hizi words na hizi zindaform ka kitu. So being told that I've won meant that I have something to say. There's someone who is resonating with what I say. So that was meant a lot to me. Yeah.
Okay. And then after that, where did Nancy go to? What did Nancy work on? What changed? Ama, what got better for Nancy?
Okay, so currently I was just in school. I didn't do much poetry, and also, at the end of the day, watu wanataka pesa, and sometimes doesn't have the money and all that. So I first nika just wiped off the face of the earth about the poetry thing. But I used to write. I didn't stop writing. But some of the things I used to write was something from deep in my heart, which I felt like I'm not ready to share. So kuna vitu tu zina come up soon. So yeah.
Yeah, tunangojea.
Bazi.
Yeah, so when you say poetry is not paying,
Mm.
please tell us more about that. Yeah.
Okay, so mostly no one will hata ushaisikia like umetulia tu hivi chini unasikiza radio ukasikia ati nani ameitisha poetry fulani ya mtu fulani.
It's always music.
It's always music.
Yeah.
It's not mostly about poetry. Poetry has its own platform in which before you get to that platform it's gonna take some time, but at the end of the day ni kujiaminia, in which I didn't have still, but at the end of the day nutajaribu tufike your point.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as a poet, just giving your reviews on it, how can we create a society that embraces poetry as much as we embrace, let's say, music and all those other things in the art and entertainment scene?
Okay, what I can say, a creative is a creative. There's no, ni kama kusema mtoi mdogo wa kutoka rich family, mtoi mwingine mdogo, watoi ni watoi at the same time. So a creative is a creative at the end of the day. So if we can learn just to embrace the poetry part of it, like most people like don't understand the poetry. Wengine wamezoea hizi lainisha na 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 na. So they don't understand the spoken word bit of it. But if you can just listen to it and see how these people wameketi chini wakajaribu wakaandika hii kitu in a way that the words zina rhyme, zina like the hard work behind it, they can learn like to appreciate that would just inaweza create a big difference. Yeah, and also watu wengine kama mimi kujiaminia pia, yeah, inabidi.
Okay.
That point, yeah.
Because I'm here learning and I also want to understand from you.
Uh-huh.
When you say shairi, you know where I'm going.
Yeah.
And you talk of spoken word. Nancy, please help me understand. How can shairi be as impactful as spoken word is? Na difference ni nini?
Zote ni poetry, but moja ni poem, mwingine ni spoken word, according to my understanding and what I try to najiambia hivyo, because for shairi kuna hizo rules, kuna hizo rules za juu inafaa kuwa na some syllables and some nini, like iko na kabita hadi tatanta tatatanta tatanta tatatanta tatanta tatatanta. You see, like it has those beats and some rhyming and whatever, but for spoken word it doesn't have those rules. It's just someone expressing their poem in a story form. Yeah.
So is it something that you'll maybe one day try out?
Poems.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
I am one like who doesn't like rules that much, so I like spoken words because I'm not limited to what I can say.
Okay.
Yes.
So Nancy, are you from a family that is what is the word?
Artistic.
Yes.
Not even close. Let me tell you.
Not even close.
Okay, my mom, she used to write drama for some church competitions. Okay. That's where I got my acting skills from. But spoken words and poetry and music, no. Because like most of them, unajua nimelelewa na my mom, shushangu, ukangu. So those ones, shushangu na ukangu, ni wale watu kukua na career ni ukue mwalimu, kuwa daktari, kuwa those big things. So when you come to them with this, I want to be a poet. Ni kusoma utasoma ama, yo si kusoma, you get. And also like my relatives, mostly they are more into those business side, the BCom, the whatever. Not many people like actually understand this field that I do, which is sometimes hard because I find it like there are some people you want like to confide into, like, and tell them your problems because they're family, your problems in this side, but as much as they want to help, they don't understand whatever you're going through as much as they want to help. So that can be a huge disadvantage. Yes.
are they present in your poetry career at this point?
Oh yes, actually, there's this uncle of mine. He actually encouraged me to be writing stuff and be at least recording them. So even though sometimes like ananiambianga, I don't really understand your field, but at some point ananiambia, you can do it. Hata kama hawelewi, and I remember also my grandpa told me, even though he doesn't understand whatever I do, they will support me. So
Okay.
that means a lot to me. Yes.
Okay. I've interacted with a couple of the pieces.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you this. I'll
Mhm.
give you this because you are so good at what you do.
Mhm.
I like the way you normally start your poems.
Thank you.
I like the way I like the way you are able to get someone's attention just from the word go.
Thank you.
So
Thank
I
you.
want you to help our poets who are watching today.
Uh-huh.
Give us tips on making that first line so remarkable in
Mhm.
a point that someone just can't stay away from your poetry.
Mostly, it's not even about the lines.
Mhm.
It's about speak from the heart. Always speak from the heart. It's poetry. It's like music. You know, if you want to tell someone a story, mostly spoken words starts like telling someone a story. If you want to tell someone a story, you want something that's gonna captivate them. You want something that's gonna grab their attention at first, and then they can continue listening to you. So that first line, just make it something that's gonna capture their attention, and then just speak from the heart. Basically, just wacha kwanza kutafuta kitu ina rhyme. First kwanza angalia kitu yenye inakuhusu like kwa heart, and then afterwards words zitaflow too.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
how important is rhyming kwa poetry?
It's poetry.
Mhm.
Ni kama as in ni kama engineering. Unaona engineering, ukifanya kitu ka engineering lazima uko unajua some stuff za hiyo engineering, si ndio? Kama we ni actor lazima ujue kutoa emotions. So poet ni kama kueleza how important ni kukutoa emotions kwa kuact. You get? So poetry it's that kucheza na words. Cheza na words. They don't have to rhyme, but you know they have to like zinakani wordplay. Lazima kukuwe na wordplay kwa hiyo poetry. Yeah.
Okay.
It's important. It's also like captivating, like ndo pata hizi. Yeah.
Okay. And of course, kuna watu watapenda kazi yako, kuna watu hawatapenda kazi
Yeah.
yako. So have you ever found yourself in a situation whereby people don't relate with your story?
Yes. Ni kama venye watu upenda bongo, wengine wanapenda rap, wengine wanapenda nini. So kila mtu anakuanga na kitu yenye anapenda. So if you find that you don't relate with my stuff, that's okay. I have my target audience. I have the people I want to listen to, that the people who have been in the same space as I have been. So yeah.
Okay. And how would you say you push yourself as a poet? How do you sell yourself?
Well, as I said earlier, I kind of went off the face of the earth in the poetry world because at that point there was a time I felt like so discouraged, but I didn't stop writing. I used to write because I don't know, I can't stop writing. It's like being a musician and you're trying to stop singing, but you just can't stop. So I couldn't stop writing, but the things I wrote about, they were so close to heart. I didn't feel like ready to share them yet. So I'm still coming there. I'm going to like ndio sasa Nancy anakuja sasa.
Nancy anakuja, si ndio?
Yeah.
Yeah. So expect more from Nancy Bansi, guys. She is an amazing poet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who would you say is someone maybe you look tunasemaje? You look up to?
I like Teardrops and Mumbi.
Mhm.
I like Kwanza Mumbi. There's this one Koikare. She's even like written her own like ameandikata book yake.
Yeah.
And I feel like Teardrops, because Teardrops like zero words will flow, like zina flow too. Unaona like zina flow. Yani ame rhyme words zake vizuri, the wordplay yuko. If I can get to that level, wow. I'm telling Shika, by the way.
You will get there. You'll get
But
there.
you know, yeah, I'm just hoping that one day get there.
Yeah.
But I also love Mumbi because I love the way she rhymes her words and the message and the way she captivates people's attention, like perfect.
You know,
Yeah.
Mombi gives one that Kanansi kind of vibe.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
You're that good. You're that good. Yeah. So
Thank you.
what should you say you seek to accomplish as a poet?
I just want to write something that's going to relate to people. Like mtu akisikiza hii stuff, maybe I feel encouraged. I feel like by the way I'm not alone going through this. And sometimes mostly just feel motivated and just feel like you're not alone in that.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Guys, today less talking, more expressing. So let me let you perform the next piece and then I'll come back with a
Okay.
couple more questions.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so the next piece I want to, the next piece is a work in progress. I've been writing some few poetries and it's a work in progress. So I'm going to talk about like the way people suffer silently in depression. So I really hope you guys, if someone is in that space, you can relate to that. So this is a society. It's the one we were born in, and sadly, we didn't get to choose. If only angeongea. If only angetuambia. Singeitana tungemsikia. Angelost tungemshonjia. If only ndo vitu tunasikia, but hamjui alitana. Alitana but hamkumsikia. Aliongea but hamkumsikiza. Umesahau vile mliongea. Sini juzi tu mlikuwa mnamchomea but sahi ako kwa coffin ndo mnamlilia. Na akiwa depressed bado mlimfinyia. Akaambia rafiki wake wa 30 amsaidia ka 30 kakubai kachai. Hata si long your story kafikia watu 30. Sange trust nani jamani? Ndo angetaka ni amani. Mesahau vile mlisema before mchukue phone zake. Ati yaka nikale kama maskini fulani. Angetaka kuishi but alikufa ndani. Ndo akadecide kujimada yani. And sadly, this is a society. Tuna dream kuishi fiti. Tuvae nguo fit in ndo tuweze kufit in. Ukikosa kufit in unachekwa. Kitaka kutunzwa, be nice kwanza. It doesn't have to be nice. Thank you.
You know one good thing about poetry.
Imechill tu, hakuna vitu mingi. There's no many things happening. Yeah.
That piece is so deep, Nancy.
Yeah.
So tell us about it.
So there was this time I was talking to this friend of mine and alikuwa amefika point ananiambia banze Nancy, mimi at this point naona wacha hakuna haja ya kuishi, you know, imefika 2 point like I give up. And at that point I was experiencing something of the sort, but it's not like nimefika your point, but I was feeling like I'm talking but no one is actually listening to what I have to say. And it felt like mashida mingi zinakuja ni when you try to explain it to someone, no one is getting exactly what you're trying to tell them. And when maybe umeji-express mbele ya watu, people be like, kijana na aka kazi yake tu ni kucomplain. You get vitu ka hizo. So it gets to a point you feel like, what? And then unapata stories zingine watu wamekufa juu ya depression, wengine wamejua msichana kusmailia tu hivi every day and you don't even know like what they're going through. And that really, at that moment when I got down to write that piece, I was nimefika point yani nashindwa, what else can I do? What can I do about this? It's too much in my head. Like mostly when I get down to write, it's something like imeshika kwa kichwa. I just have to nitoe kitu tu kwa kichwa hivi kidogo niweke down on paper. That's when nikaandika your piece.
Is she okay now?
Yeah, she's okay actually, because aliget kuniongelesha and then I told her like mostly siwezi mwambia everything, so you know I can advise her to, you know, seek a psychologist. And yeah, she's coping.
Okay.
Yes.
That is great to hear.
Yeah.
So, do you normally share your work with someone before letting it out to the world?
Yeah, I do, but with some close friends wenye najua kwanza, alafu watu wenye wanakuwa critical, like mwenye atakwambia sasa hii nini umeandika hapa by the way, hebu toa hiyo line unawezekeza hii, like not everyone like, so there's this artist mwenye alisemanga surround yourself with people that challenge how you think, no people that know their head and act like they agree. So most of the times I go for those who challenge my mind. So nawapea kwanza wanaangalia and then they'll tell me, yeah, that's a nice place, you should do it. Lakini mimi nakujiamini yani nani. Yeah.
Okay. Has poetry ever given you any other space other than, let's talk about, other than Squared and VOE? Umeshaienda space ingine ukaperformia watu maybe some of your pieces?
Yeah, there was some times nilikuwa na perform chuo. Mostly chuo na sasa Squared. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. You are doing great. You're doing great. Kuna comments? Hi guys. I have not forgotten you, our online audience. Thank you so much for staying tuned for Eastland's Expressions each and every Saturday. Coming straight to you today, tumekuja from 3 p.m. Next week tutakuja from 2 p.m. But thank you so much for the comments. Josephat Kamau. Hi Josephat. Karibu sana to Squared. Amepeana comment on Jicho Pevu's performance. So let me just read it. Amecheka. And then amesema wewe na klasi yako yote mnanifanya miss Kuli mystery gory hip hop. I think that was a rhyming scheme from Jicho Pevu's piece. And then he's also saying kazi sasa nileta. Thanks, great piece. Thank you so much. Glad you loved it. He also has another comment. I think he was answering that question I asked you different ya shairi na spoken word. So anasema shairi inafuata sheria za utunzi while spoken word ni what zika form meaning. Na pia they're all said differently.
True.
Thank you so much for that, Josephat. Bradley Ongota. Bradley anasema yuko locked in. Alama ya dukuduku. Let's assume he's enjoying the show. I know he's enjoying the show because the show is amazing. So thank you so much, guys. Keep the comments coming. Remember, this conversation is going to be running for the whole month of April. Guys, this Squared is celebrating poets. So if you're a poet, if you believe in your art, if you believe in what you're doing, you know you are great at whatever you're doing, tutumie message Instagram at e_squared TV. We'll get you up on this amazing show. Of course, we will be talking about your poetry life as well. We want to discover, we want to learn, we want to explore that space. Now we can only do it better tukiwa na more poets on this other side.
Yeah, mazekuja, that's a nice experience here, by the way.
Yeah. So Nancy Bansi, before I let you go, I don't know if my co-host has questions for you, but he will be joining us. But in the meantime, you said you do acting.
Yes.
I know there's poetry.
Yes.
So other than these two, what other hobbies or interests do you have?
Photography. I do actually mnifollow at Untitled Nancy Bansi. Yeah, I do photography. Also mnifollow at Untitled Nancy Bansi. Also I do editing. Yeah, mostly editing and photography. I do love photography mostly. Yeah.
Okay. Does Nancy have that? Okay, sorry.
And drawing, calligraphy mostly. Yes.
Okay. The same channel. The same.
No, that one. That's a hobby.
Okay. Okay. I hope we'll see something maybe next time.
Yeah, you will. Okay.
Yeah. So what is there a certain piece, let's say from the pieces you've written, because you've said you love writing, it must be fun.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah. So are there pieces that umeandika that they are genuinely from what Nancy feels at that particular time?
Yes, kuna zenye nilikuwa nimeandika, mostly sinakwambia like yes, sikuacha kuandika. So like nilikuwa naandika what I feel. Mostly before I even like to put it down on paper, it's something that mostly I feel or something like I've watched kitu like I've experienced something ama naona kitu inahapenia mtu and I'm like no, this is wrong, and just write it, or something that has made me happy, just write about it. Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. Benjamin is also a great poet. I don't know if you saw his first performance.
I saw it. Wow.
I'm pretty sure he has questions for you. So as Benjamin comes in, he's here. Fellow poet.
Yeah.
Dear poet.
Talk to me.
You're meeting one amazing poet, and of course me. I'm also an amazing poet.
She is. She is an amazing
Do you have any
poet.
questions for her?
Well, where did you get your fur coat?
Okay.
Let me tell you, this one was a gift from a grandma.
Wow. Sure.
Alikuanga nayo kwa wardrobe mpaka like unajua lazima nijiongea vizuri. I was like kuna baridi si unipe tu. Akanipea.
Ye mwenyewe alikuwa anajua hii kazi or rather your poetry side.
Mostly she knows I like acting and anajuanga tu mimi nakwanga tu kwa creatives but ajui what specifically, but she told me whatever I do and support. Actually leo ni birthday yake. Happy birthday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Happy birthday. So, basically, I wanted to know, as for me, as a poet, my inspiration mainly comes from my experiences and the reading culture that I grew up to. Like, my mom raised me on a lot of poetry. So, maybe did you have any of that, or is it something will come to like later in life?
Okay, first, you know, when I was young, at around class 3, 4 hapo hivyo, my grandma signed me up for this to be a member of a library, Karatina. So like the town library huko hivyo. So like tulikuwa tunatafutiwa books. By the time I was in class 6, I was reading like these size books. So I enjoyed reading. And I used to write poems. Like hizo zenye nashinda nikisema, I used to write them. So when I got to high school, I met this friend of mine, a very good friend, close friend, nampenda sana, anaitwa Terry. So once tulipatana na yeye akaniambia she writes poetry. So I was impressed. I was like, wow, I've never seen something like this. Mimi najuanga tu ile ya kuandika poetry, like, you know, the rules and all that. So akaniambia, by the way, it was spoken word, you can do this and this. And then I tried to write my first one, and then she was like, yeah, this is nice, but you know, you can do this and this and this. And then nikaandika ingine, and she was like, no, this is nice. So most of the times, I was sasa ndo nakwambia one of the people wenye natumianga spoken words zangu time yenye like I want to see kama ziko sawa before like I share them to the world, yeah.
Okay.
Me personally nakuanga very shy na